that a equal to 5. So this is the basic data type. So what would happen is that a is a reference that is pointing to 5. Then if I say b equal to a, it points to the object that is referenced by a. That's why it is equivalent to b equal to a. C equal to 7, then it's a separate kind of reference pointing to 7, and a equal to c. Now, what is pointed to by 7, sorry, what is pointed to by c is now pointed to by a. Now, what can happen is that after that situation, if I type b equal to 0, now previously b was pointing to 5, but now b will point to 0, another thing. That's called immutable, because that is not changed. That 5 cannot be changed, right? So if I type b equal to 0, then 0 is referenced by b, right? That's why it is called objects without references. So this 5 is now object without references, and that can be removed by the Python. Okay. Then what is immutable object? So an immutable object cannot have its value changed, right? It cannot have its value changed. So before this lecture, right? So before this lecture, all the types we have dealt with are immutable, but now we'll see the examples. So for example, a equal to 0, b equal to a, and b equal to, b plus 1, it is changing. So that 0, we cannot change it. Now we want to see the mutable objects in which the value can be changed. So look at the example, a equal to ellipse 3, 4. So for example, when I type ellipse 3, 4, a is pointing to a kind of object which is ellipse, which has 3 variable, width and instance variable, width and height. Then b equal to a, so b is now pointing to a, right? And then when I do a scale 2, we know the function of scale, in which we actually multiply the width and 4 by the scale parameter. When you do that, it will print 6 and 8, right? So now I'm just did some function like a width equal to 100. So a width equal to 100 is basically that width would be changed to 100. So then if I try to print out b dot width, it should print 100, and b dot height should be 8, right? So that concept, I think it's now clear from here, right? And since we are changing the value, instance variable, that is called mutable objects. And we can compare them using the ease. So if a and b are pointing to the same object in the memory, then it will return true. But if they are not pointing to the same, then it will return false. That is how we can compare the references. In case of multiple instances, the things are much more controlled because they are in separate locations. So for example, when I do a equal to ellipse 3, 4, it will point in a separate in a location of objects, and a is referencing that. And b equal to ellipse 3, 4, it is a separate location, separate place, right? So there is no relation between this and this, right? They're completely separate. So when I do a dot scale 2, only the objects referenced by the a would be updated, would be changed, right? So it will not affect the b, right? Okay, so and we experimented that example. So I'm going through the example that variable 1 equal to ellipse 2, 2, variable 2 equal to ellipse 3, 4, variable 1 equal to variable 2, and variable 1 equal to variable 1 height equal to 5. Let's see what's happened. So when I say variable 1 equal to ellipse 2, 2, it's a new location 2, 2, and 3, 4, it's a separate location. Now variable 1 equal to variable 2. So what is pointed to by variable 2, variable 1 will now point it. So it will be like that. And that is the non-referenced object, right? Now, if I say variable 1 equal to height 5, so this height will be changed to 5, right? So if I now type variable 2 dot width, it should be 5. Variable 2 dot width equal to 3. And variable 2 dot height equal to 5, right? So that is the idea behind all those concepts. Okay, now I'll be starting the lab. So today's lab, I'll be going to, sorry, I'll be going to let's see, I'm just sharing the screen first. Okay, so first I'm going to the coding hub, and then in the coding hub, I am going to week 5. So in the week 5, actually functions and classes. So I just click the functions first. We'll really go through the codes. I'll try to go through the codes. Yes. So these are the functions that we need to look at it. So a simple function, write a function named greet world that prints hello world, right? So let's see. I mean, some of the cheat code, if I can go through, like diff greet print hello dear user, right? This is how we can see that. So now what I'll be doing is I'd like to keep them side by side. I also wrote a code, all the solutions, and I'll share that at the end, basically, to you. I'm just open the Colab thing. Sorry for that. So, okay. So functions. Just make it smaller, right? And I'm also doing another thing is I just try to keep them side by side, and I'll discuss the solution. Okay. Okay, now I just shared the screen. Okay, so the first example is so a simple function. So write a function named, so look at here on the left side, greet world that prints hello world. Call this function to verify it works, right? So I just try to go through the solution. I think the exercise and solution, I'll go through step by step, and I'll share the link so that you can practice, I think, and you can ask me any question on that. So to do that, I can define a function on the right side. You can see that so greet world, and then I can print hello world. So how to call the function? You just type greet world, right? So if you just type it, and then you can see that the print will be printed, right? So it's connecting backend. Once it is done, it will be refreshed. It is still initialization of Python 3 now connected, and then I can see the printer, right? If I change it, it will be changed, right? So for example, if I just remove the comma, All right. And then if you just type in, you can just see the new output. Okay. So this is how we can define a function here. And this is how we can call this particular function. We can call this particular function without any parameter, sorry, without any argument. And there is no parameter here. A very basic function, right? Now, the second question, function with parameters. So this type of function is called a simple function, right? Okay, now what is function with parameters? So create a function named greetPerson that takes a string parameter name and prints hello followed by the name. So any name, if we pass into, it will be printed. So for example, if you look at the example, I'm just trying to make it bigger. Okay, so it's really, yeah, so that's fine. So if I call a function like greetPerson and a John, so it will print out hello John. So if I put Manzoor, it will print hello comma Manzoor, right? So this is how what we need to do true, which means that this function has a parameter, right? A name parameter. So if we look at this example demonstration, that define greetPerson name, and then what I did is basically I used the F string, right, that we discussed last time. So in F string, double quotation, hello, comma, and then the name, whatever name is passed on, right? And then if I do it, or you can use the concatenation operation, right? What you can do optionally, that you can do print, right? Sorry, hello, right? And then automatically it came, right? So press the tab, is just now printed, right? You can also do that, right? You can also do that. It's okay, completely okay, right? So you can also really sorry, you can also do the second option. So if you type in John, it will print hello John, Alice, and Bob, right? Everything would be printed. So if you do, you can get the print like that, right? I think it makes sense. Any question from anyone? You can. Okay, I think it's good. Now, the next question, I want to give some time. Then I'll actually like a 5 minutes. I'll continue on that. So the this one, part three, function with a return value. So write a function named multiply that takes two parameters and returns their product. Test this function by multiplying two numbers and printing the result. So part 3 and 4, if you can do that after 10 minutes, actually, I can discuss on that, or probably 5 minutes. And part 4, function with default parameters. So let's start with that thing, right? Function with return value. If you can try to do, okay, let's, I think probably a difficult one I should try to give, but I'm just showing here. So in case of multiply, so I'm putting, it takes two parameters and returns their product. So the name of the function is multiply. So I put define multiply and the two parameters are there, right? So these are the comments. If you don't put it, it's fine. But it takes two parameters, which is A and B, and returns the product. So return A times B, right? Returns A times B. Or what you can do, you can really do another thing, is that C equal to A, another variable, right? A times B and return C. You can also do that, right? You can also do that, but that's just two lines, right? But the existing was is just existing one is just one line, right? It's shorter, right? And then it's also written the same thing. So once you do this function, how we can test the function, that result equal to multiply 3 and 4. So when you do that, the result consists the multiplication. So then you can print the product of 3 and 4 is the result. That is the return value, right? By the return, actually, you can get the result. Additionally, you can put another test cases, like the product of 5 and 6 is multiply 5 and 6. So you can call the function within the print function. You can call that, you know, here, so multiple, and then you can cross check all the multiplication. That is fine. Okay, so that is a complete program. So I'll actually share that to you, all of you. You can try. Any question, just ask me. I'm just going through the functions basically. Okay, the next question, if you look at here, part 4 on the left side, functions with default parameters. So every concept that we went through the class is now actually demonstrated using the practical example, right? So and it's really if you can follow all these things, try to do it, then concept will be clear. So define a function power that takes two parameters, base and exponent, with a default value of 2 for the exponent. So only for the exponent, the default value of 2 is defined, but for base, no default value is there. So for example, if I put example 3 power 3, that will return 9 because the exponent is 2, right? Okay, so look at here, that define power, base, and exponent equal to 2. So this is the default value. So default value must be the last one, right? And if there are 3, if the second one is default value, then the third must be default, right? We know that. Okay, so what I'm doing in the power, just return base power of exponent. Double star is the power, right? Now, how to use that? Print power 3. So power 3 would return 9, right? Output 9. Power 3 and 3. So I'm now overwriting the exponent value. So changing the exponent value with the 3, changing the exponent value with the 4 in the next function, right? So that will give the corresponding output. So if you run it, you can see the corresponding output. So these are the test cases by which actually you can check your function. Okay, next one. Control flow in functions. Create a function is even that takes a number and returns true if the number is even and false otherwise. So I'll make a function is even that takes a number and returns true if the number is even. So how to check the number is even? Definitely I will try to divide it, or I'll do the modulus operation. If the modulus operation returns 0, it is an even number. Otherwise, it is an odd number. I think we discussed that last week or week before. Okay, let's see about that. So define is even a number. So return that number modulus 2 equal to 0. So this is an interesting statement that the whole thing would return true when the number at the first instance is actually even, right? Because if it is an even number, if I do the modulus by 2, it will be definitely 0, which means this is true, which means this is even number. So that will return true. So what's happening here is the print is even 4. So 4, so number is 4, 4 modulus 2 equal to 0, it is returning true. So it is returning true, printing true. 7, it is returning false, right? Because it cannot be true, right? So this is how this function is even can actually check whether the number is odd or even. Okay. The next one, conditional return. So write a function positive square that takes a number and returns its square if the number is positive. And if the number is negative 0, it should return none. Test this function with positive, negative, and 0 values. 3 values. It's a kind of test cases, right? So we'll see the example here. Like it's a positive square, a number. So if the number is greater than 0, return number 2. So I make the square, right, with the power. Else return none. A string, right? None. Now, if I put these values of, positive square 5, then it will return number is greater than 0, it will return 5 square. If I put minus 3, it's less than 0, so it should return null, right? So all these can be checked. So if I run that code, I can expect the corresponding output of all these test cases, right? So this program, I'll share the link so that you can have a look and you can have the confidence of doing the codes, right? Write two functions, print sum AB that prints the sum of two numbers and return sum AB that returns the sum of two numbers, right? Okay, so let's see. Print sum AB. So it is just printing sum of A and B is A plus B. So just in one line, you can print. It is not returning any value, right? But if you return sum AB, it is returning A and B. How to demonstrate that? The first one, that result 1 print sum 3 and 4. So print sum is actually not returning anything. It is just printing, right? So what will happen is that it will actually print the result, but um, it will assign none to the result 1 because it is not returning anything. This function is not returning anything, so it is returning none, right? So what will happen here is that it prints the sum, but print sum is equal to none. So this result 1 is actually none because print sum is not returning anything. However, if you look at the next one, which is returning sum 3 and 4, like here, then it is returning a plus b, which means that this return sum 3 and 4, 7 is in return 7. So the result of return 7 must be 7. So again, if the function is not returning any value, it is returning none, that none would be printed. And if it is returning the value, then that value would be printed. So that is the proof that when it is not returning any value, the result of the print sum equal to none. But when it is returning the value, we can get the value here. So I'm just giving that link to the chat so that you can have a look. Okay, so I'll give that even to the announcement as well, so that you can all the codes are actually solved here, so that you can get the idea that how it is being done, right? Okay, now the next part is that I will open the object. I am going to the next portion, which is the section 6 of class and objects. Okay, so yes, and then step by step. So these are the questions. So I'll show you one, then I'll ask you to fill up the next, right? So step by step approach. So the first one, um, objects. Okay. So first we need to define a bank account class. So let's create a Python program that simulates a simple bank account. So we'll try to simulate a simple bank account. This program will allow users to create an account, deposit funds, and view the balance. So these are the action we'd like to do. We'd like to create an account, deposit the funds, and view their balance. So the first step 1 is to define the bank account class. So we start by, we start by defining a class named bank account and use the init method to initialize two attributes, account number and the balance. Set the balance to 0, right? Set the balance to 0. So if you look at the right side, I implemented that class bank account. Then these are the comments, right? It's not mandatory. So define init, self, and the account number. So I need to put an attribute. Self, you need to, at the beginning, you need that, the account number. So, and it's saying that I need actually two instance variables, account number and the balance, right? So what I did actually, parameter is only the account number because balance automatically 0. So I don't need the parameter as 0, right? So set the balance to 0. So this balance is a instance variable. And this account number is also an instance variable. Remember that. There are two instance variables, this one and this one. An account number equal to the account number that is supplied. So this one is actually this one. And this is the instance variable. And this balance equal to 0, right? So when I call this class with to make an object, what I did is I make an object like account, bank account with this number. So this is the account number, right? So that account number actually goes here to here, and this instance variable is defined as this account number that is supplied. And then if I try to print this account using account number and account.balance, if I run it, I can create this output, right? So if I run it, I can see that the output, so it is running initialization, and then okay, and this account. So if I want to create another account, for example, what I can do, I can just copy that, right? I just copy and make its account 2, and then I can give another number, right? Right, and then if I try to print the next one, print f, right, and then say balance. So balance would be always 0. So I just count number of second, right? Say count 2. Yeah. So account 2 dot account number. Dot account number, and then okay, so because of that, okay, so if I do it, then I can see the second account number is also created. So these are different separate kind of locations, right? Oh, this is a good question. So this f is called f string. It's called f string. So I'll show you. That's really, so I put that in one discussion. So what you can do really, you can just type in here. You can get ideas from here. Okay. So anyway, you can find it out. Okay. So all the examples are given. Sorry, f string. Just going back. Okay, so this is how actually you can create multiple accounts, multiple objects, right? Okay, now it's your turn. I'm giving like say 15 minutes time. So whatever steps you can finish. So add a deposit method. So please start updating these particular class here, right? You can update. You can open the Colab. You can do that, and then step 2 and 3 or whatever you can. How many you can do? It's up to you. So I'm giving the 15 minutes. So at 9 o'clock, actually, I'll start discussing the next one, right? So please work on step 2, 3, please. So what I'm saying is that first, I already created the account, right? So it's in front of you. So you can simply create another function called deposit method, similar to diff here, like deposit method, and whatever instruction is given. So deposit method is actually, you can add an amount, deposit to an amount, right? And then the balance would be updated based on the amount that you're supplying. So probably you need to think about parameter into that function, that balance would be updated based on whatever amount you want to deposit into your account, right? And then once you do it, then you can, after creating the account object, you can actually call that function of deposit to put a value so that the deposit can be reflected into your account, right? So step 2 and 3 are actually, And step three is a subsequent result because once you deposit method, you can show the balance, right? Using the show balance function. Okay. Okay, so in order to implement the step 2, we need to add a deposit method, right? So what we did is that we can define the deposit with the amount. The amount need to be deposited. So if the amount is greater than 0, then self.balance plus equal amount, or you can simplify in this way that it's exactly the same. So I increase the balance with the amount, right? And this is a printed, what is the deposited amount and what is the new balance, right? Because if I make the addition, if I increase the cell balance, it is the new balance, right? And that is the deposited amount. But if it is less than 0, which means I want to deposit something which is negative number, then I can definitely give a warning print that deposit amount must be greater than 0, right? And so on. So for example, if I want to implement here that account, I make an account with this account number and then I deposit $100, then the account, it should print the information, right? You should deposit the information. So for example, when I put the $100, then it says the deposit 100, new balance equal to this. If I deposit 50, deposited 50, new balance equal to 150. Now, if I want to deposit minus 10, it should print deposit amount must be greater than 0 because it cannot take the negative value as an input, right? So that is the idea. Okay, next one, add a show balance method. So, I mean, whatever we did here is that we are actually, after every deposit, we are actually showing the deposit account and the new balance account, right? New balance statement. However, I want to, the step 3 is asking that you have to show a new balance method by which actually, if I call this balance, show balance, the name is show balance. So add another method called show balance that prints the current balance, right? So to do that, I just, what I did is that I just put another define show balance self. So it will just simply print the current balance, right? So for example, I created an account, I deposit something, and then if I call show balance, it should print whatever present status is, right? Like this way. So deposited 100, new balance equal to 100, deposited 50, new balance equal to 150, current balance equal to 150, right? Because I call the show balance function. Now again, I deposit minus 10, so it will print deposit amount must be greater than 0. And then if I want to show the balance again, it is still showing the 150 because nothing has been changed. Next one, create an account instance. So how to create an account instance? I think we already explained that I can just call the class, call the class with the parameter, which is the account name, right? Which is the account number. And that's it. That's how I can create the, I can create the account statement. Step 5, making deposit and checking balance. So use the deposit method to add funds and show balance method to. So I think we already explained that. Step 5, we already made that. And step 5, we already made that, right? So this is the deposit and this is the show balance that we already made, and we can try to run it. Okay. So I think the remaining time, I mean, I'm sharing that coding to you so that you can access to that link. So I'm putting that into the chat so that you can have a look. So I'll share that into the video as well. Now in this week, if I just make it bigger, we go this week, and so week 5. Please have a look at the lab session and the coding exercise that you need to submit. So if you look at the coding exercise, so your co-worker Marcus has been working on a virtual coin purse program, but he was unable to finish it due to family emergency. The big boss has tasked you with taking what he has written so far and finishing the program off. Luckily for you, Marcus has also left you the following note as guidance. The program is partially completed, but I didn't have enough time to actually write the coin purse class. The class should have a constructor and two other methods like add coin and print information. The constructor sets the name of the purse's owner using the argument passed to and initializes the total value coins to 0. So similar to the bank balance problem, right? The add coin method adds to the total value of coins in the purse using the coin value passed as an argument. The print information method outputs the owner's name and the value of the coins, like Alfred has 70 cents. Thanks so much for helping out. This type of statement, right? So you need to can reveal the hint plus try to, so this is a partial code. So definitely you need to make a class plus you need to make an instance and do that operation. So this is the task for that. So uh, before jumping to it, please look at all the examples that we discussed during the lab. If you can finish everything, if you can understand everything, then actually you can do that pretty easily, right? Is still any question, please send me an email or in the discussion forum, send me an email to, if you want to make a booking, we can do one-to-one Zoom session to demonstrate if you have any problem, right? Any question from anyone? Okay, so if there's no question, that's fine. So we'll see you in the, I think next week is the holiday, but the week after, our week 6 will happen, which is the, I think the 30th, according to the course plan. So I'll show you the course plan thing. So if I go to here, sorry. Yep. So if I go to the learning guide, so we can see that 30th, starting from 30th is the week 6. So on that particular Wednesday, same time we'll be doing the Zoom session, right? We'll do the class actually Wednesday of that particular week, starting from that particular week. Any question, anyone? But next week is the break. Next week is the break. Okay, so good. Okay, any message came? I won't be here. No, that's fine. Next week is the holiday, right? I'm talking about the 30th, after 30th. So it should be, I think, a different, right? Yeah, next week is the holiday. So it should be 30th week. So which means that first of January, right? 1st of January at 5:30. Okay, that week is the open basically. Next week is holiday, definitely. Okay. Okay. So if there's no question, so good luck with the exercise and have a safe holiday, right, everyone? So and Merry Christmas. So we'll see you on 1st. Okay. Thank you all.